Hello everyone, you're on an all-new episode of The Final Cut, and since it's Halloween season, I'm continuing my reviews. Today we're going to be going over the 1989 sequel to The Fly called The Fly 2. The Fly 2 stars Eric Stoltz as Martin Brundle, Daphne Zuniga as Beth Logan, John Getz reprises his role as Stathis Borans, and Lee Richardson as Anton Bardock. It is directed by Chris Raylis, who also did the makeup for both this film and the original Fly. The Fly 2 picks up a few months after The Fly. It starts with Veronica from the first film, giving birth to her and Seth's son, Martin. She dies in childbirth, and Martin is then raised by Seth's evil employer, Anton Bardock, who acquires Martin's help to solve the problems of the telepods, believing that they are the key to worldwide domination. During the course of the film, Martin ages at an accelerated rate, being the equivalent of 20 years old at the age of 5. He discovers he inherited the Fly genes from his father, and he starts to transform into Modern Fly, who, unlike his sickly father, is a very deadly force to be reckoned with. He is befriended by the beautiful computer specialist Beth Logan. Martin then sets out for a way to cure himself, discovering that the answer lies within the telepods. That is the cast and plot of The Fly 2. Now, of course, this was made several years after The Fly. It came out in 1989, and Eric Stoltz ages at an accelerated rate due to his genes. This is a very different type of film. Now, Chris Walas is the director, but he did the makeup for this film and the original 1986 Fly. So that's very interesting that he ended up going from makeup to directing, and that's because David Cronenberg was not available to film. A number of other actors were in the running. Keanu Reeves turned down the role to play Martin, and several other young actors, and Eric Stoltz was ultimately cast. Daphne Zuniga plays Beth Logan, his love interest, and she was cast, and this is a funny fact, I never knew that Mel Brooks, yes, Mel Brooks, like Young Frankenstein Mel Brooks and Blazing Saddles, was a producer of the Fly films. He recently cast her in Spaceballs and thought she would be a good part for the role of Beth Logan. And I do like the relationship in this, but that's my main beef with the film. He ages 20 years every 5 years, so it's 5 years after The Fly, and they have a love scene. It's a great love scene, but the problem is she pretty much had statutory rape on a 5-year-old. So even though he has a body of a 20-year-old, he pretty much basically screwed her at 5 years old. So yeah, that's really illegal. But with this film, you have an evil corporation, and there's certain suspension of belief, really, in this film. Is it as solid as the original Fly? No, but it is a solid sequel by itself, and it expands upon the things that were set up in The Fly. You also have a cameo from Jeff Goldblum and a video recording talking about the process. It's before he transformed. So really, it's more of a film about a cure. Martin inherited this. He realizes that his accelerated aging and transformation has to do with some of the Fly DNA from his father. So it really becomes a race to find a cure and to stop him from becoming his father. And you also have the antagonist of this corporation. You also have Stathis reprise his role. He's very bitter. You could tell the events from the first film really affected him in this, but I like it because this is a true sequel. It really picks up where the other one left off and really gives you more answers to what happened in between. Also, they got a body double for Gina Davis. She didn't want to reprise the role since she got killed off at the beginning, but also it was similar to the nightmare she had in the first film. I was not expecting that opening, but it's kind of a sad tragedy. Not only what happened with the father in the first one, but his mother dying and him being an orphan with this evil corporation. They're bad to him, but ultimately they get what they deserve, and it becomes more of a horror action movie in a way. He almost becomes kind of superhero-like once he transforms to the Fly. They're trying to get him for power. They want to know what the telepods have, and that's an interesting thing. The telepods actually had to be recreated. They no longer had any left after the first film, so they had to recreate everything. Also, they shot it in Vancouver due to the large space. They didn't have enough space where they shot the original, so they had to have that large open space for the corporation. Overall, it's a solid movie, and once he becomes the Fly, he is deadly. The effects are even better. You have more technicians and animatronics and puppeteers with the effects. It is some crazy stuff. You also get to see like a mutated dog. The villain gets mutated at the end. Like, it is some crazy stuff. There's a lot of sick stuff in this, and they really up the ante with the effects and gore. And since it was the same person who did the makeup, it still holds up very well, much like the first Fly from 1986. And the Fly from 86 was a remake of the 1958 Fly, and this shares some similarities with its sequel, The Return of the Fly, in that it has a happy ending. They conclude the story. Now, it could leave some clues to where it could have gone in part 3, but they deleted those scenes, so it has a definite ending, and I'm glad because it really has a happy, hopeful, optimistic ending after everything that happened in the past 2 films. The Fly 2 is not as iconic, not as well done as The Fly, but I feel it is a worthy sequel and a little bit underrated. So I give The Fly 2 a 3 out of 5 and a B+. It's not as good as The Fly, but it is a solid sequel on its own. And Eric Stoltz and Daphne Zuniga do a really great job acting here. It's one of my favorite roles of Eric Stoltz, and it's nice seeing Jeff Goldblum have a cameo. And not only that, them treat the story with some love and respect and really make it feel like a true sequel. They don't negate everything that came before. It doesn't feel cheap. It feels like a natural progression of the story. Despite the age gap between Beth and Martin, I could get over that. It's the 80s. This guy can turn to a fly. I never seen that in real life. Or teleportation devices. So I can kind of suspend that. But technically, that's illegal. So don't do that. He has to be over 18. Anyway, that is my review of The Fly 2. If you haven't seen the original Flies, or 1986 Fly, or Fly 2, totally check them out for Halloween. This would be the perfect time. Again, I saw this with The Fly on Fox Movie Channel when I was 9 years old, and I absolutely loved the films the first time I saw it. So yeah, check it out. If you have seen The Fly 2, let me know in the comments below, what did you think of The Fly 2? I like The Fly better than I do The Fly 2, but they really complement each other. But just let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, click the like button and subscribe for more videos. Stay tuned for the next Final Cut review in which I'll be going over The Craft.